Welcome to the Go-to-Market Tech Channel. Generative AI is currently shifting from the hot new thing to a lot of folks having to decide whether it adds value to their particular business or area of responsibility. So where are the value adds for a go-to-market technologist? Well, one of the perennial challenges in go-to-market for tech firms is content generation. Good content is useful for building your market presence, but we're not content businesses. Outside of big marketing campaigns, your typical startup can't invest too much in content supporting in-person and online events. And I've also found since starting a YouTube channel just a month ago that you can spend a lot of time compiling the material for even a short video. And the current off-the-shelf tools for image and content generation aren't really a good fit for the day-to-day workflow that I use. So let's build something. After a few days' work, here's the foundation I have to build out. So I take notes and write out little bits of script. ChatGPT generates a script for each chapter. I manually revise those scripts in a dedicated text editor. Using ChatGPT again, we summarize the scripts, suggest image prompts. DALL-E then generates those images, and I review the output and decide which ones I like. And finally, I use those images to liven up the video. And while there's room for me personally to get more efficient at video production, I got my last video done in about 6 hours between 11 AM and 5 PM, including a nice lunch break. That's finalizing the script, recording and editing my talk to camera, selecting the images and so on. And that compares well to even just work I've done collaborating with the marketing department on a video. So I wouldn't want to say the results are too amazing, but it's definitely a huge time improvement on having to spread that work all over a few days. When I'm doing a video like the one you're watching right now, where there's screen caps and there will be a demonstration, I've got some animated diagrams, it's still a more manual process, but it's not really the custom work I'm worried about spending time on when I'm making an individual video. Instead, it's the tedious work, the repetitive work of working up an initial draft and adding in material that, let's face it, is the 21st century equivalent of clip art. I'm not making a Netflix series, I'm making business content with a limited viewership, very limited right now. So what if I could build a platform that step by step enables me to significantly optimize the time required to make weekly videos? What I've got is 3 main AI workloads. There's writing the script based on my notes, summarizing the scripts to get prompts, and generating images from the prompts. And these workloads are part of a larger end-to-end process, starting with ideation. I'm doing a series of videos right now where I'm providing the expertise, at least as a starting point, so I want to provide the seed of the script. Then there's editing. So it's really amazing how good a draft an LLM can come up with, but even so, it needs to be reviewed and edited by hand, especially as right now I don't have enough scripts in my own style to tune the responses yet. And then finally, there's curating the prompts and the images themselves. So generating good images is challenging. So what I'm doing is generating far more than I need and then selecting the ones that I like. The final result of all of which is that when I sit down to edit the video, I can bring up a library of photos that have been produced specifically for the video and script at hand. All of the above was more than enough to get started with. So phase 1 is standing up that end-to-end workflow. I've left aside issues of retrieval augmented generation, fine-tuning, optimization of prompts and so on for future iterations. And I don't want to spend time innovating on plumbing. So to start with, here's my selection of tried and true high productivity tools. I'm using my note-taking app, which is Obsidian for the scripts. I'm using Retool to build out the front end. I'm using a back-end app written in Python and using Fast API for the AI processes. And then for image storage, I'm just using my local machine. It's so much more convenient to edit videos using local files. And I'm also using Retool DB or a Postgres database to track every script and image generated. Okay, so let's take a run through of the platform that I've been building out. Starting with, it's just a text editor. So this is Obsidian. It's a really nice note-taking app. It's just plain text markdown files on disk. Really fast and responsive and simple to type in. And I can take some notes on a section or give it some bullet points of things I want to cover, or maybe, let's see, in the goals chapter, I've got more of an idea of what I wanted to do, and I started by typing a script rather than typing in bullet points. I provide these drafts, and what we're looking to get out of Gen AI is to get a full draft so that each section is now a complete talk doing 200 to 300 words, which is, it's actually a little bit long, but it's about right. And it's far faster for me to edit these sometimes than it is to come up with everything from scratch. So that's the scripting process, all accessible via text file, but the process is automated through this application here. I have, the different scripts and notes I'm putting in are showing up here. So here's that same draft, so just reading it out from file, and I can see the selection of chapters on the right hand side. Maybe I want to not include some of them when I look at it. Maybe I want to add in something new. So let's go through the process. Let's bring up, I just have a test script. So the text script has one chapter called commentary and one section of notes, and all the notes are filtered out, so they are not given as scripts to be processed. They just pass this context to the LLM to help in the generation of the individual chapters. And I might add, for instance, a new chapter on review, think, oh, it's missing something. I want to talk about stock photos as well. So options for improving keyword search. For instance, maybe that's a new thing I want to throw into this process on generative AI. And I just ask ChatGPT, could you create scripts based on this? And I have a last minute option to add a few instructions here. So we'll let that run off, and we'll go to the generated scripts page. It'll take a few seconds for that to come back, but what I have in the meantime is I've got all of the different versions that have been generated previously have been stored, so I can do this on a repeat basis and not lose my history of what's been done before. So here's one where I added an extra chapter. Here's another one where I added a chapter of alternatives to AI, and let's just do a refresh here. And here's the section on stock photos that I asked for. So now I want to look at the image generation side. So I've just changed application there. And now I can go through and see the things that have been finished up and edited as script. And I might take, for instance, the alternatives chapter and say, okay, I want images for this one. So we start off with summarizing. So that's going to go off and request some summaries. If we go into the script summary page, what that's doing is for each topic and for the chapter, we are getting a summary of the chapter. We are getting some keywords extracted, and we're getting some moments, some beats in the script that need to be illustrated. Incidentally, that's because what I want is a new illustration, let's say every 15 to 30 seconds in the video. So if I have a 1 minute chapter, I'm going to need multiple images to support that. So let's select one of these rather than generate everything, and request prompts for that. So moving on to the prompts tab, you can see I've been playing away at this, so I've got plenty of previous examples to go through rather than in this case waiting for ChatGPT to come back with its results. Let's at least restrict this to the alternatives section, and I can pick some of these. So let's see, we've got manual brainstorming. Let's do a brainstorming one and a keyword research tools, and request images for those. So that has been sent off. That is actually requesting the images. So if we go to the generation process tab and say, okay, we're doing run number 33. I'm keeping track of every single run that I do. And 2 prompts were provided, and we don't have any of those results back yet, but that'll work its way through. Oh, there we go. There's the first one popping up. So nice and colorful. The text here, not so great actually. So that's definitely been one of the downsides. That as the text, I'm not asking for text, but it's still trying to do it despite the fact it's not very good. So there's some prompt refinement to be done here. And here's another image. And I find that a little bit generic as well. So what I did at first pass was just generate lots of images. Let's pick up that last run here. So run number 33. And actually, I think both of these are bad. So I'm going to flag each of these as bad. And in fact, that's being tracked in the favs and bads. I haven't liked any of the ones generated so far. Okay, but let's pick these two that I did previously and export the selected. So just to keep things moving quickly along, let me just flip to DaVinci Resolve. So if I'm in the cut page, it's called in DaVinci, which is where I select the images. So there are the two images. I'd already dragged them in from a previous run, but now these are very accessible for me to just drag and drop in. All those pink bars in the nonlinear editor, those are all the images that I've brought in. So, you know, if I scroll through, faster. If I scroll through the image, through the video rather, you can see all the images that I put in. And I find this good enough, actually. So I took this selection, I put them in, edited it together, and published it on YouTube. And it was a lot faster than doing things entirely manually and thinking about an image for each moment and either searching for it or pulling one together myself, or and so on and so on. It was really time consuming. And I am not yet a YouTube star. I'm not making a Netflix series, so it just wasn't worth the amount of effort it was taking. In the back end, I'm just using a very simple API I built. So it's just using Fast API, which I'm pretty comfortable with. Very fast and productive to build a very quick front end. And it's really just a mix of there's some things that are going through the file systems, picking up scripts and making them available via the API, sharing them up to the application in Retool. The OpenAI pieces, the ChatGPT and DALL-E APIs, so they're all being called in the backend as long-running tasks running async. And one thing I will say, this new response format option on the API call, it's very nice. If I look at the model for this application, I've got, these are quite simple, but a couple of structured outputs. So the result from asking for a summarization of the script is not just the summary, but it is also a list of the moments and a list of keywords that have come out of that. And the request for the prompts is also coming back as a list. And it makes it so much just faster and easier. You just don't need to think about it to start including the API, basically the outbound request and the inbound response. They are now very programmatically controlled, predictable. That just makes it so much easier, like completely no thought required beyond thinking about what you're asking for. And then finally, there is a backend database, which is in this tab here, and against the images. So what I was keen, knowing that I'd be doing probably generating like 1,000 images within a week. What am I up to? Just after 2 days of using 3 days, 300 images. So one chapter I've been looking at a day. Each one's generating a bunch of images. So tracking, where did I get that image from? What was the prompt that went into it? What was the properties, like the quality setting? Did I like it or did I really not like it? So not the most sophisticated data set against this, but nonetheless, I'm quickly going to have a pretty good data set to start optimizing the prompts and not having to do it all by hand, which I'm pretty keen to do. This, I think, is a pretty good foundation to be working with. So I'm quite pleased. So that's the experiment so far. It worked well enough that I've already published a video using only the automatically generated images. Well, almost. While I was recording, I threw in one new paragraph while I was speaking. So for that, I went directly to ChatGPT. which is fine. I can't imagine that with the current state of the art, we'd get a perfectly automated process. Although it did make me think it would be nice for some images to have a user experience that makes it easy to drop into a kind of manual mode to replicate what you can see in the ChatGPT screenshot there. So while this first attempt is a rather naive implementation, I think I've got a good framework to build on. So what's the next step? Well, the existing process has three main use cases for AI. The script generation is really about search, and given minimal inputs and the required video structure, can the LLM flesh out a full script for review, based on other information out there? Now, my current series is on general business-to-business sales processes, and ChatGPT has been doing a reasonable job on this very well-discussed subject. So until I've built out a sample dataset of good script outputs, I think this would be the least impactful area for my current video series. Out of the box is working fine. Next is extracting prompts and keywords from those scripts. There's lots of potential here. Every video is resulting in around 100 prompts and images, and it's easy to do multiple runs. So I think that this could easily be a classic optimization problem to work on. And then finally, there's the image generation step. Now I'm thinking of that as the creativity step. It's a real challenge for for humans as well as for computers, to take a script about a subject and come up with a creative graphic that might be a direct illustration, but might also be a cultural reference, or it might be a contrasting idea to spark a reaction, the opposite of the prompt. In creative terms, then, you might say that the text-to-image process is different from the subtext-to-image process. But however you think about it, I want an approach that gives as many options as possible for the final result in a reasonable time frame. So there's two approaches I can take here, I think. First is producing better detailed prompts for text to image. There's a consistent failing in the images so far, which is they are usually trying to do too much. Lots of figures, lots of diagrams, which is too much for an image that's only being displayed for a few seconds on the screen. So I need to refine the prompt generation to provide detailed descriptions, but of simple compositions. The second approach is to remember that there is a stock photo industry already. Using a stock library, different approach. It's a small number of keywords and then selecting from a list of images. Now, it might be that I'll find the best outcomes actually come from improving keyword search and then taking advantage of the image quality and human creativity that's already baked into the price of a stock photo library. There's probably also a hybrid approach of using AI to filter the images from a keyword image search, but one step at a time. I'm going to do one more video with the existing process and then implement an option to use keyword search. My biggest priority here is that question of what if stock photos are going to give me a better result over time than Gen AI generated images. If that's the case, I don't want to put all of the effort into the perfect prompt if actually the perfect keyword search turns out to be the better solution. So as I build out a dataset of scripts and resulting videos, I want to be able to build up a baseline of both generated images, Gen AI generated images, and stock photo libraries. I'm about to take a week off to visit Venice for the first time, but once I'm back, kind of excited to see where I can take this. Thank you for watching, and I hope you join me in the next one. My name is John Walls, and I've worked as a technologist for over 20 years, helping tech companies bring their products to market. I also make videos about it, especially the roles, the tools, and the techniques available to the scientists, technologists, and engineers involved. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.